considering Jeremiah 31 and the coming of Yeshua, Mashiach, part 3. We're kind of doing a review of a few verses out of Jeremiah 31 during this count of the Omer, because there's some questions that are generated that are important to us, that during this time of reflection we can ask and kind of examine to see where we fit in the midst of all these. So before we look at today's verse is going to be Jeremiah 31, verse 21. Let's kind of get let's take a look at the main ideas from the last two studies. In study number 1, we kind of concluded that we love Yahweh heart to heart, having been established as a precious and a valuable possession of Yahweh Elohim. This connects us mind to mind. We establish that Elohim prevails in our life. Then we are His delight, and we receive spiritual direction through the Ruach, the whisper, and blessings throughout our physical existence according to the abundance of Yahweh's promise and His commandments. From study 2, we came away with, we are to be upright, as we are appointed to serve as a visible monument to show the way. Our focus, the focus in essence of our entire being, should be on the course or path that can lift us up in life, as well as in the manner in which we live. We must return to a state that we are set apart to Elohim and that Elohim prevails totally in our life. We must ask ourselves, where have I been? Do I need to make adjustments? And if so, what are they? Where is my perception of Yahweh Elohim? And what can I work on to better it? Basically, we also ask, where am I? So the time of the counting of the Omer, it's a good time to reflect on this. And with Elul coming around, we're going to be spending the time before we get to the High Holy Days. So tonight, as we continue the count of the Omer, we've considered some questions generated by study 2, and in this third study of Jeremiah, we're going to generate perhaps the most important question yet. We're going to consider this verse word by word, and as we do, we're going to construct an idea to consider, and the question that we must ask ourselves, especially now as we consider our various traits and seek to know where we are in our relationship with Yahweh Elohim. So we're examining ourselves now. We're taking time to look at ourselves. Where is my relationship with my Elohim going? Where is my relationship with those around me going? What can I do to improve both of those? That's the wonderful thing about Torah, is that it gives us a yearly cycle, and we always come back to re-examining. So we're constantly looking at ourselves to say, am I in the image of Elohim? So this verse says, how long will you turn away coyly, O you backsliding daughter? For Yahweh has created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall court a man. So that's kind of an interesting verse in English. But let's kind of...
And that's why you picked it up.
Yeah, let's break it down and kind of get an idea of what we pull out of it that shows us the relevance of this verse that otherwise really doesn't mean a whole lot of anything. So we look at the phrase, how long will you turn away coyly? The word coyly does not appear in the Hebrew of this verse. The word coy, according to Webster's dictionary, means two things. One, having a sweetly innocent quality that is intended to gain attention. Or, number 2, not telling or revealing all the information that can be revealed. So you kind of hold back a little bit. You give that sheepish grin, and I'm not going to tell you anything, or everything. So let's keep those definitions in mind. They might come in handy somewhere during the study. But what this verse does say is ad matai, meaning literally how against. The word ad means how far or up to what point, basically to what extent. And the word matai means very literally against when, until when, and how long. Basically, the question that is being asked is, how long and how far are you willing to go? How long and how far are you willing to go? Now, at matai, we consider also the word ad in itself. We think of the Shema, and how far are we willing to go within the Shema, because we've said that the ayin in Shema is enlarged, and the dalet in echad is enlarged, and they spell ad, which in that case means witness. So we say Shema, we've understood what Shema means, but in Israel we've only looked at it from one point of view. We've looked at it from the point of view that Elohim prevails. But Israel also means to wrestle with Elohim. So where is my understanding at this point? And we ask this question: how long and how far are we willing to go in bettering my relationship with my Elohim, establishing that He prevails in my life? Or how long and how far am I willing to go continuing to wrestle against my Elohim? So we have kind of a two-sided street to think about. So this leaves us asking this about the balance of this phrase. Tivcha, meaning how long will you turn away? Now, tivcha is a phrase word, and the root of that phrase word is chamak, which in this phrase is used to say turn away. But some of the other meanings of this word are some of the other meanings. What's in this fruit? Hamak also means to withdraw. And perhaps the most important definition to think about as far as hamak goes is it means to vacillate. According to Webster's, vacillate means to repeatedly change your opinion and desires. So if we take that and we add in our question, we complete a full question that asks us, how long and how far are you willing to go, repeatedly changing your opinions and desires? Okay? And we see this a lot in denominationalism. Those apples are something. But people get tired of the beliefs in this denomination, and well, I'm going to hop over to this other denomination because I can worship a different way. Or the board decides that pastor such and such is preaching something that the church really doesn't want to hear, so they get rid of pastor such and such and bring in somebody who's going to tickle their ears. We see this more and more today. When I went through the seminary, I took a course. I had to take a course on basically on how to be a pastor and how to apply for a pastor job, and it amazed me that they said that turnovers for pastors, especially Baptist pastors, is the maximum amount of time that they stay is about 2 years, and then they're on their way out the door. So this is a question to ask, because have we got anything that we're doing this with? How long and how far are you willing to go, repeatedly changing your opinions and desires? And let's compare this to the Epistle of Jacob. King Jimmy, it's James. King Jimmy wanted his name in the Bible, so he removed Jacob and he put in his name. So we now have the Epistle of James, and we have the Apostle of James, but it was actually Jacob. In Jacob 1:5, we're going to look at 1:5 through 8, says, "If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of Elohim, who gives to all liberally, and does not speak harshly to us when we transgress. It shall be given to him. But let him ask in faith, not wavering, for he that wavers is like the wave of the sea, driven by the wind and tossed. For let not that person think that he shall receive anything of Yahweh. A double-minded person is unstable in all his ways." So we keep this verse in mind when we consider this question and when we ask ourselves during this period of time and beyond, where am I? What is my state? So we've learned that through entering the Word we gain knowledge, and that from it comes wisdom. And wisdom doesn't come from dogma or tradition. These are what cause the waves and the wind. We must know why we believe what we believe. Say that again. We must know why we believe what we believe. So many people that simply go to church and listen to whatever the preacher or the rabbi has to say, and it's written in stone. This is what my pastor, my preacher, my rabbi says. But ultimately, the responsibility is that we have to make sure that what we're being taught or what we're taking in is good for us. So it's something that we have to keep in mind. We must know why we believe what we believe. Yahweh, in the book of Amos, tells us to seek him and live. And Yeshua tells us that the Father is seeking those who worship in spirit and in truth. In order to do both of these things, know why we believe and what we believe, and seek him to live according to what the Father is seeking, those who worship in spirit and truth, we must seriously take to heart the words of Paul at Timothy 2:15. Only in this way will we become single-minded in our relationship. The Aramaic of Paul says, "Study to show yourself approved to Elohim, a workman that needs not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth." Study. Okay? Study. And I spend a lot of time putting these lessons together, and I spend a lot of time researching to make sure that what I put out is right. But I am a human being. And so everybody that I teach has the ultimate responsibility to go through it to make sure. And if they find something, like we've said in the past, say, "Hey, Michael, look, this is wrong," and I will say, "Wow, thank you." So study to show yourself approved. He goes on to say in the next verse at 2 Timothy 2:16, "But shun profane and vain babblings, for they will increase one's lack of reverence." Shun profane and vain babblings, for they will increase one's lack of reverence. How many profane and vain babblings do we read about? Best-selling books that come out that the secret of this or the mystery of that, and they come out with these words to draw people in and hook them on reading this stuff. And prophecy's real big. A number of years ago, the blab it and grab it, name it and claim it thing was going on. But all of these things are vain and profane babblings. They have no substance that brings us closer to our relationship with our Elohim. So is what I'm learning substance enough to feed me, nourish me, and bring me closer to my Elohim? It's ultimately our responsibility to know what Yahweh Eloheinu. Eloheinu means our Elohim, our mighty judge, our mighty redeemer, our mighty authority, who brings us rest. It's important that we know what Yahweh Eloheinu is saying to us in His Word, and not fabricate, add to, or take away from it. This causes us to become separated from Yahweh, and our reverence will dwindle as we seek our interpretation. I'm all for praise and worship music, but it's been shown now that these big praise and worship bands in these mega churches, that's why people go. And when the show's over, they step away. Or people go because Joe Blow is going to be there, and
it's an appeal to the soul.
They want to tickle the ears. So
emotion in the soul.
We need to understand the difference between something that feeds us and simply eating on potato chips and candy bars that eventually is going to make us sick. So eventually our reverence will dwindle as we seek our own interpretation. We will depart from Elohim, and it's interesting that the word depart is another meaning of the word chamak. So we again call to mind Isaiah 55. We talked about Isaiah 55 a couple of weeks ago. It says, "Seek Yahweh while He may be found. Call upon Him while He is near. Let the wicked forsake his way, and the man of iniquity his thoughts. And let him return unto Yahweh, and He will have compassion upon him, and Elohim will abundantly pardon. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my way, says Yahweh. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my thoughts, or my ways, higher than your ways, and my thoughts higher than your thoughts." Our interpretation of something is minuscule compared to the depth and the meaning that Elohim projects in His Word. So we have to be very, very careful the way we handle His Word, so that we're not fabricating something, saying that it was the tree in the mist instead of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, or taking away, saying we can eat of the trees instead of we can liberally, freely eat from all the trees, or add to, saying that if we touch it or eat it, we will die, when all Elohim said was, if you eat from it. We have to be very careful. So it's important that we study to show ourselves approved. And we want to have that kind of a relationship. So this is quite a bit to consider if we are truthfully to answer the question that we posed. The next phrase to look at is, "O you backsliding daughter, Chabat Chashubah." I had to look at that. There's actually a double shin in there, so it's Chabat Chashubah. In the word Chabat, we have a word that does mean daughter, but more specifically, it means the first daughter. Bat, meaning daughter, comes from the same root as ben, meaning son, which is lanam, meaning to be established. So we can construct an idea in this of what was first established. What was first established? Okay? In OU backsliding, which is hash shu ba, we have the root shobeb that literally means to become apostate. To become apostate. Apostasy, according to Webster's Dictionary, means the renunciation of religious faith and the abandonment of a previous loyalty. So we can consider the following. What was first established has become apostate. What was first established has become apostate. We consider the question that we asked, how long and how far are you willing to go, repeatedly changing your opinions and desires? And then we realize that what was initially established has become apostate. That the original relationship that was there with Adam, that was there with Noah, that was there with Abraham, has changed.